Hello, my name is Christopher Schneller, and this is a recording of my presentation that I'm performing at my home, as some people did not get to see it live, and at the request of Dr. Skaggs, I'm recording it here. And hopefully, this presentation can live up to the live action one because everyone told me it was very good, but I don't know how well I can do without myself there. So, let's see how it goes. Anyway, my name is Christopher Schneller, and this is Climb, the final presentation, the game and presentation by yours truly. But anyway, let's get this started. What is the Climb? That's your first question, of course. Well, the Climb is my senior project. It's a game about climbing a tower. This one. It has a player, this guy. It has art, like these. It has sounds, but only a few speakers, of course. And I feel like I describe it like this, but I really want something more. I mean, I could just go through and say, wow, art, wow, mechanic, but that's just not really how I want to do things. So I'm going to take a page out of everyone else's book and instead tell you a story about how the climb came to be. So, what is the climb really, like at its core? Well, the climb is the first full project I undertook on my own, from development, from prototyping, from art to sound to coding. It's all me, other than the game engine, of course. And this is how I want to go about describing the climb to you, as starting from an idea and building up to something great, which is almost like building a, hold on, building a tower, if you will, starting from the bottom and building brick by brick all the way up to the top. So, and of course, with any good building, you always start with the foundation, which is, of course, the idea, how the climb came to be. And well, before the climb, I was playing games over summer, and as many game devs do, just saying I was studying mechanics, making little tech demos. Had a random idea, and I just went with it, saw where it went, and I came upon making a little platformer com-based fighter game with gameplay style a lot similar to sort of Smash. So the 2D fighting games with a little bit of the Metroidvania style in there. And you would utilize your favorite movesets to juggle enemies as you do in those games. You would combo them, focus on using stuns and such. And they're very free form. And I even made a little hook shot to pull enemies back to you to continue your combos. Which this will be very important later. But unfortunately, summer always ends, and now it's school time. And I need a senior project idea. I don't have one yet. What am I going to do? Well, luckily, I have a few tech demos lying around, one of which I happen to be working on right now. But that leads to a problem. Everything to do is so complex. I mean, a fighting game as well as the art, the sound, everything else, including schoolwork, it's just not going to work. It's way too many layers for one person to do within a reasonable time frame, especially all the other stuff they got to do. So I need to break it down. Luckily, I have a real idea. So I like the hook from the tech demo. It was important after all. I really liked playing around with it. And I like simple tools with multiple uses, and a hook is a perfect thing I can use to apply that. I can hook to walls, I can hook to enemies, I can hook to anything I want. And I already have Blade Controller working from the tech demo, so I've already got a good start there. I just need a full game to build around it, an actual design to make it work. And I look into stuff. So what if, part two, the formalities. And you're telling me I have to make an outline to actually design this out? Freaking sucks. Uh, we need to be formal now. No more jokes, no more nothing. We're on the formalities now. So, what is the climb? But actually, well, the climb is a platform roguelike built around two main ideas: player movement and environmental interaction. You have a strong core of movement options and attacks, all with very easily discernible differences between each other, and each do their own unique things, and an environment to utilize those tools in and interact with, providing a sort of jungle gym for you to explore all of those creative options you have access to. Now, as this is a senior project, I do need to have some personal goals, as I think it's important for any project to engage with to have some personal improvement as well, rather than just a product. And I'm already good enough to make the game. I can code. I can kind of make art. A lot of people say they like it, so I guess I can make art. I can kind of make sounds. I can even make kind of good music, but I can't really do everything because I'm not good at actually making the game. I mean, scoping, prioritizing tasks, making sure I get what needs to be done, and actually polishing things. I can make a lot of tech demos, but I can't really make a full game yet. So I need to practice these so I can actually function as game dev. So those are my personal goals for this project are actually working on refining myself, refining my skills, refining that game to really make something that shines. So, and that brings us to, of course, the plan. It's time to make some milestones. All right, and here they are. My three, four, 3 and 4 kind of ended up melding together a little bit. Kind of two stages of three, kind of three and three part two. But first, we're at milestone 1. I need to work on demo for SGC as it's a great opportunity to have playtesting done. As a lot of people are going to be walking by, I need to pitch it to everyone. It's going to be great practice and great feedback is going to be given. But for that, I need number 1 priority: get a working player controller, as that's one of the 2 major aspects of my game. And without a good player controller, everything else is just not going to work at all. So I'm going to need movement, attacks, whatever else I need for it, health, that kind of thing. And of course, I need that environmental interaction. So I need some things to interact with, sort of actually have the player do anything. So that, of course, includes enemies, obstacles, whatever. And then I need working game loop to make those 2 things work together, which includes starting a run, dying, repeat, as well as the tower itself, providing an actual level for you to progress through. And milestone 2 is just after SGC, and of course, I must refine the gameplay based on whatever feedback I got from SGC, add some more content that I didn't have quite done for it, and do some more playlisting, of course. Keep refining that player controller, keep refining everything else. But milestone 3 is where the real refinement comes in, and 3 and 4 took place over the course of this spring semester. So I need to polish everything because I had added a lot of content in the first 2 milestones, and now I, of course, need to engage that polishing step. Wrap it up in a nice bow, and if time allows, add some extra stuff. Probably won't get to that, but if time allows, I can get there. And now it's finally time. Part 4, 5, and 6. The actual game, including the player, the game loop, and the assets. Putting everything together. Now let's start off with, of course, the player, which can be broken up into 2 major categories. As kind of mentioned before, we have the movement, of course, which includes the basic stuff: moving, jumping, dodging, etc. There's not anything else actually, but there is the grapple hook, and we'll get to that very soon, don't worry. But there's also combat, which includes the axe and the gun. Now, let's start with the basics. You can move, walk left and right, you know how it is. You can jump, and you can dodge, which is a bit more complicated. You can dodge on the ground and in the air. If you dodge in the air, you sort of boost yourself quickly in a direction, and if you're on the ground, you do sort of a much longer roll. Gives you a lot more iframes, but you can't really move left to right. The air dodge is definitely the more interesting of the 2, because you do a lot of stuff with that. But we have the grapple hook, which you can grapple to a lot of things. You can hook to walls, you can hook to hook points, which you can't really tell, these little green dots. I should have probably made that bigger, but those are probably whenever you're pointing at. You can hook to your axe. So you can throw your axe and you can hook to it to give yourself a big boost, but it does require a bit of precision if they're axe, and you have to actually aim and hook to it, and it's a bit hard to set up. You don't want anything else in your way, because kind of throws it. You kind of throw the axe pretty high up, but that's not all the axe can do. The axe can also hook to enemies. In a similar way as the floating hook points, you can hook to enemies. It stuns them for a second, pulls them towards you, pulls you towards them, and you can quickly and easily finish them off with an axe hit. But on top of that, enemies will sometimes drop food, and you can hook these healing items to yourself, because sometimes it's difficult to get to them. Maybe the platforms just aren't there, so it's a lot easier if you just quickly hook to it, or hook the food to you, that is. And for the weapons, it's a little bit simpler. You have your axe, which is pretty standard. You swing left, you swing right, you swing up, you swing down. It pushes you in a direction you swing in. And you can also throw your axe, which is the bit more interesting part. As stated before, you can hook your axe after you throw it. But you can also pull your axe back to you, which allows you to sort of have a boomerang style. You can throw at an enemy. I missed it, but I can sort of reposition myself slightly and pull it back and drag it through the enemy instead. And as another bonus, if you noticed, when I threw the axe at the enemy, in the previous slide, it dropped food, which is the healing items in this game. And if you hit an enemy with the axe or with the thrown axe, it will guarantee drop food, which is a good source of healing because you will take a lot of chip damage from a lot of things. So, yeah. And then there's also the gun. The gun, it's not really a set I want, but at the moment, you just shoot. It's a little shotgun. It blasts you back a little bit. You can kind of see it bounce up like that. And those little two pink lines, if you hold down the fire button, you'll sort of enter an aiming state. And if you hold down long enough, it'll tighten the spread, allowing you to hit more far away enemies. Or you can just kind of spam it and have a wider scope, hard hitting far away. It's a shotgun. I'm sure most of you know how that works. Anyway, enough about that. It's time to get the game loop, which is fairly simple. You start a run, you die, you repeat. Menu, you click start, it throws you in there. You play a run, you have a good time, but you unfortunately die. Unlucky. And then you click start, and it starts all over again. Nothing too crazy. But the main part of that game loop is the tower, which the tower itself is made up of a variety of segments which fit together top to bottom. There are all these sort of little cylinders with little miniature platform challenges within them. The tower will then slap these on top of each other, one on top of the other, like a tower. And each time you get past one, it'll slap another one on top. But you'll never actually see the top. Right now it's infinite, so it'll just kind of go up one, it'll spawn another, spawn another, spawn another, so on and so forth. And of course, we need to fill the towers with stuff. And the first and most important one are lemonies. The first one, well, kind of the second one, but put the first one on one of these slides, is the mortar. And this one acts kind of like a trap and enemy combined. It will throw these little air bombs you can see, and will aim them right above the player as sort of a kind of way to slow the player down. Is if like if the player gets stuck somewhere, you'll throw an arrow over them, and you'll have to wait even longer to sort of maneuver around it. Be very careful because these bombs do a lot of damage and give you a lot of knockbacks. If you get hit, it's really punishing, but they're pretty easy to dodge, and it's very slow firing. But you just got to be really careful around them. And then you have these sort of zippier, faster, less damage, less knockback, still very annoying drones. They sort of are the little bees of the game. And they're very quickly dispatched. You can see you can just quickly throw your axe, take them out. You can shoot them, take them out real fast. You can swing at them, they die in one hit, ready to deal with. But they're super annoying if a lot of them get on you because they do stun you for a little bit and they chip you down with along with everything else. They can still be very dangerous. And the other most important part of the tower are the obstacles. First one, spikes. You know them, you love them. You fall into them, they deal damage. You walk into them, they deal damage. They deal more damage if you're traveling faster, which can be comboed with the spring. The spring itself isn't really an obstacle per se, but it can be used to make other things harder because it really throws you high up in the air, which can be very useful, but it can also throw you into other things. And there are a couple of segments that take advantage of that to throw you into spikes or throw you into a spike ball, which is another fairly standard obstacle you'll see in sort of medieval towers. It swings back and forth, delivers a lot of knockback and damage if you get hit by it, and just generally gets in your way. And finally, you have the flamethrower, sort of the patience testers of the three. The other three are more standard, dodging, but the flamethrower stays up for a long time, does a lot of damage, actually too much right now. I definitely need to balance that because I stand there for like maybe 2 seconds and I'm basically dead. But it is a very effective because of that at forcing you to obey its rules. So if you get in it, you die, you wait for it to end, then you run through it. And finally, to put that all together, are the assets. You've already seen a bunch of these, obviously. Every single one of these gifts I've played so far. I've shown you basically all of them, but here are some close-ups. Of course, we have the main menu. There's options menu here. This is for functional, mostly. You saw temp there. Doesn't really work. That obviously doesn't do anything, but all the other things do actually do things. Bomb shrapnel. Bombs will shoot out 8 little shrapnel pieces, 8 little bullets to hit you, make it a bit hard to dodge them. Aim assist. There is a little bit of aim assist in the game. So if you using the shotgun at least, it'll snap the enemies if they're in a certain degree range around where you're pointing. And fast enemies. Enemies actually have a little of a velocity lock. Don't do test, but anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. Sorry about that. But we have some assets. You have the drone up there. You got see a little shoot animation. You see a little swing animation. Here's a roll, and we got some more sounds. We got the heal sound. We have I actually figured out this one is. That's the jump sound. Fairly simple, fairly nice. And that is the shotgun blast. Very powerful. Very good. But enough about all that. It's time for the juice. You can't have a game without some nice juice. And with your strong base, it's time to spice some things up. Add some more animations, add some more stuff. Or finally pass the game as now. Polish it out and finish it out. Huh? What? What? The other game? What is this? What? What? Who's this? Well, I may have gotten a little distracted. First, it's a tiny thing, you know. Of course, everyone is a good thing to get off track. You know, sometimes do some research, try out a skill in a different project, or interfere. But usually, want to keep those very small. You know, you want to focus on that one thing you want to get better at. So, of course, we got a little play. We need something to, we need something to play with. How much to actually test things or not something to test it with. No, an enemy, okay, got another thing to test it with, have to interact with the player. And then we have, three other enemies, each with different fully functional AI. I'm also an intro cutscene, which is probably the original thing I should have focused on before making, the three, actually four enemies, and also a wave spawning system. I literally can't fit it on there, but there's a lot of logic to go in that. You can ask me about that later if you want. But because I got a bit too distracted. But maybe something with this. Well, I'm starting to squash and stretch. It's hard to tell. I'm the user cutscene alone, but the sort of but when you land, it sort of squishes you. When you jump, it squishes you out. And I want to mess with that for testing with adding some actual juice to the other game. As I said there, made some music, tested with that. I'm not the best. You're probably hired someone to do that, but I did mess around with making cutscenes as you self-insert cutscene, which will be very useful later on, as you'll see. But unfortunately, now we're in a bit of the dark ages, the intermission. Finally got through having a good basis. We even got a whole nother game in there, but all good things must come to an end. We made a lot of progress, but now it's time. So, what are my accomplishments during the Dark Ages? Well, 2 weeks of barely anything. And then 2 more weeks of doing barely anything. Very good. And also, I just want to give myself the most informational GitHub work. Can I get a round of applause for S? For S, because it tells you so much about what happened there. I'm pretty sure that was just one thing, but it's just goodness. Not having a good time doing this for weeks. But, forget all about that, because what's important is that we come through it and we learn about what happened. Because even if I didn't get much done during those 4 weeks, what happened? What was I going through during those times? Well, nothing really. Just didn't really do anything at those times. 4 weeks of nothing. I just, just like sometimes just don't really feel like, I'm just doing really busy work. I mean, I just not really have much to. But enough about making excuses. What can we do from here? Well, my goal was setting tasks after all, so I can't really say that it was entirely the fault of, all these things. But all I can really do is keep track of what went wrong. I didn't prioritize properly. I didn't scope properly. I didn't properly stay focused. And the only thing I can do is keep track of it and start climbing again. And that's what we do. So now it's finally time to add the juice and the polish for real this time. And here we go. The tower is really starting to look like a tower now. It actually goes over it. And it's finally time. Add some juice. And we got some little things in here for juice. We got the tiny lantern. I want to add it because there's not a whole lot of animations in the game right now, so I want to add something to really help you feel the momentum. So you have this little lantern that sways from side to side around you. And of course, we have the little squash and stretch stuff with that as well. Currently, it's only for jumping and landing. I've tried doing this with other things, but it just looks kind of weird. I didn't manage to get fleshed out, but it helps with feeling that little jump a little more. And it really does help with the feel, as you can see there. The lantern, it looks cool. But more than that, we have a tutorial. This is sort of the little tech demo version, a little outline of the scene. Turns out my game was kind of hard. That's one of the main things with SGC is it's very hard to learn. I've of course been playtesting it for weeks at this point, so I'm pretty decent at it. But anyone else who's new, there's a lot of things to learn really quickly. So I really need to have a tutorial so people can learn how to do that. And we have cutscenes. And these are rough drafts, but we have so the tower intro really fast. Thing opens the door, boops you out. Then we have the whole tutorial intro, showcases the lore of the game, sets everything up. and leads into the main thing, which the lore is, of course, there's money at the tower. Go get the money. It's over at, that tower. So go get that. And off you go. And finally, part 11, the evolution. We scale. It's finally time. We've gone through all of the hardships, but we're finally there. Look at our tower now. Anyway, this is a common quote, I think, by anyone who procrastinates, um, which is just, we've started out slow, but we still got time left. We still got time to do things. So, what did I learn through all of this experience? Because we finally at the end of the semester, we finally have a tower I can truly be proud of. Even though I didn't get everything I wanted done, I spent a whole month just getting bogged down with schoolwork and other projects. But it's very hard to stick to a plan. I had a very clean plan earlier. I had whole steps. Maybe not the best plan I could have had, but it was really something I could have utilized better. Ooh, shiny. Anyway, it's extremely hard to change how you work. I'm the kind of person who works very hard in short bursts. I kind of have to wander a little bit, but I need to work a lot harder on getting that under control because I am capable of getting a lot done, but I'm capable of getting a lot of small things done overall. So I really need to work on how to utilize that skill set of being able to work on a wide range of things very hard to actually like make sure I get something done less things of just doing random stuff. Um, because yeah, as I said, it's usually better to optimize the things rather than circumvent them entirely. It's very hard to change how you work, which led to me being more successful, especially towards the end of the semester. Which after the whole month thing, I managed to get a lot of things done once I figured out how to optimize that. And restrictions are necessary, of course, because I need to optimize. but but hold on, because I said a lot of the bad stuff. A lot of stuff didn't go well. But let's compare the original plan to the one that came out. Because if you look at this, I mean, we have 7 things on the left. We got the foundation, the formalities, the plan, the player, the game loop, or the pulp game section, and the polish on top. But if you compare this to what came out, I mean, there's basic stuff, but it ends up being a lot taller. And so even though everything didn't go to plan, through that failure, we're able to adapt and build something that's even stronger than it would have been if everything went to plan. Because without that failure, we can't properly learn or make mistakes. And when you really break down what you did piece by piece, even though it may have looked like I failed, I really came out on top because now I can apply all this whole tower to whatever other stuff I need. So what is the outcome? Because even there were things for a little bleak for a little bit, the tower kept growing and I kept climbing. So in the end, we have all of this. Like I end up being barely able to fit on the slides with how tall this got and still have everything be readable. But yeah, maybe I should make a game about that. Anyway, that's the presentation. If you have any questions, I guess email me. I don't know. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up.